Greetings and welcome to the Healthy Sales Chick Show. I'm Nancy White, the host of this show, and here we love to talk about our healthy mind, our body, and our spirit. And we need to nurture all three every single day, or one of those areas are going to let us know they've been left out. As my dear friend and founder of Win Win Women TV, Paula Fellingham, always says, we welcome you with open arms and open hearts. I have a question for you. When was the last time that you really nourished your healthy cells? It is always something that is ongoing, but I absolutely love to have amazing guests to share their gifts and talents with us so that we become more educated, have knowledge and understanding about some different ways that we can nurture that mind, that body, and the spirit. And this evening, I have Adele Bernard. And Adele, I'm so grateful that you are allowing us to have some of your time today.
Thank you for having me, Nancy. It's a pleasure.
Well, this amazing woman, we're going to hear more about her, and then we're going to learn how you can get back in touch with her later, too, to find out even more. She has got some amazing things that she has started and is always doing to sow into other people's lives for the better. But we're going to touch on some things that about everything is happening for us, not just to us, not whatever, but for us, and how much one is forever looking to get aligned in all areas of your life. Because if you don't, then something is out of sync, and it again will show up big time. And another area we're going to touch on is when something is happening in the body, it starts by the spirit and then the mind. We always talk about this computer up here that always gets going, and but we're going to learn more things about the power of how the spirit works. But just a little bit about Adele. She has been a mentor and teacher of transition, and she specializes again in aligning the physical house and the body to create vibrant, supportive spaces. You don't hear much about people that can help you with your house, both your real house and your temple. But they're energetic spaces, and she causes helps to have clearings, and she also does consultations. She transforms homes and businesses into havens. Oh, don't we all love and want that? But that also they reflect each individual's current journey. It's not just to do it for her, but it's for you as an individual. But is in a world where people have become too focused on the outside, Adele helps them to reconnect with themselves and reignite their inner flame. Yes, you do have an inner flame, and it isn't all the way out. There's still a spark and there's still hope. So Adele explores how to make spaces feel aligned and vibrant, allowing everyone to truly shine. And it's really about walking you home. I love it. I think that should be the name of a book. But anyways, welcome again, Adele. And I just love, one of your taglines you had from birth to death and all the hiccups in between. And yes, there's a lot. And with all that you have experienced, what was it or what has brought you to this very moment? How you are using these gifts and talents to serve others, Adele?
Well, I actually was aware of the gift from 3 years old
Mhm.
and being highly sensitive and could feel things long before people knew. I could tell when people are going to transition in life
Wow.
before they happened. And, and an added challenge to, you know, high or um, teen years because you got all that on top of it. And the pandemic was the deciding factor of this isn't a hobby anymore.
Mm.
I was being asked to step up in a big way because the world was changing so fast and people needed to find their North Star again. And so I always say, like, as I use my lighthouse as the guiding light, you can
Mhm.
keep hitting the rocks. It doesn't matter to me. But if you'd want a different way, let's talk.
I love it. You can keep hitting the rocks, and people are going to go, do I have a choice? And you come back and say, yes, you do.
Absolutely. Like you said, like you read before, right? Everything is happening for us, not to us.
Hmm.
And like it can come down to like the silliest thing of like stubbing your toe, or do I wait that extra 20 seconds at the light before I go through? I have so many people that said, like, I just waited and I didn't know I was waiting as the car ran the red light, or the pedestrian wasn't quite through the crosswalk. Or, you just don't know. And it's like seeing those little guides, and like people say, well, I see angels all the time, like seeing the numbers, right?
Mhm.
They're angels saying, pay attention.
Absolutely. And it's getting more and more challenging to do that in this day and time because we're so bombarded with all the exterior things. But when you said that, it gave me a flashback of 40 years ago, Adele. I was sitting at a red light and I was the first in line getting ready, and the light turned green, and I had that little nudge to wait. And sure enough, this truck was ran the red light, and there were 6 police cars chasing him. They chased him for 30 miles.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there going, I was so grateful that I did not start out. And so, but I love how you are really helping people to slow down. And when people go through challenges, and we go through them every single day. I mean, if you're human and still breathing, we're going through them every single
Mm-hmm.
day. And when you talk to people about, especially who've gone through some tragedies and some really heartaches, when you talk about, it's happening for us and not to us,
Mm-hmm.
is it really hard for some people to even grasp that?
It is hard because we're so into their technologies, we're so into the computer and the phones, and it's like we've lost the gift of connecting human to human,
Mm,
right? And then it's even like, people say, oh, let's go meet for a coffee. Well, for someone like me, a coffee house is the worst place because they're hyped up on caffeine. They're even more not in their body. And I'm like, okay, this is not happening. I would rather be in a bar, even though I don't drink, be in a bar
mhm.
with spirit because they're numb.
Oh,
Their bodies are numb from the beer. And it's
mhm.
like, good. I can see you numb. I can see your spirits. Okay, I get it. But it's
Right.
like a coffee shop. It's like, holy cow, this is crazy talk. And so, like we talked about before the show started about, you know, working now versus when I started over 25 years ago. It was a letter came in the mail. I never figured out who these people were. There's some degree of 6 degrees of separation. All I know is I was their last resort.
Mm.
And I'm here now to say, don't let me be your last resort.
Wow,
Right?
that is
Because
something.
I will definitely have a conversation with anybody. If I'm
Mhm.
not your person, I'll let you know. I won't just take your money.
Yeah.
If I can't help you, I won't take your money.
And I think that that is so sensitive, especially in this day and time, Adele, because of, again, everything that we've been bombarded with, and all the messages and everything that have started shaping people, especially the younger generation. Oh my gosh, about it's all about money, it's all about this, it's all about
Well,
whatever.
and they also can't work.
Mm-mm.
Like I was on a call with a lady who does HR and trying to bridge the gap between the 4 generations.
Mm-hmm.
The Gen Zs are just getting fired. They're not even making it through the 90-day period. The companies don't have time to train them,
Yeah.
and they have the capacity of a gnat. And it's really sad because, and it's also kind of the parents' issue too, because they helicoptered their kid
Yeah.
that they go in and do their homework, or and it's like, what are you doing? You're setting them up to be looking after them your whole life.
Absolutely. You're setting them up for failure too. And
Yeah.
that's something, if I mean, we all kids, I mean, we have to fail because you don't know what it is to, get back up, and like when you fall off your bike or whatever, you get back up and ride it again. And somebody can't do that for you. It's just like, even for people in healthcare, I can't do it for you, you can't do it for me. I would really like for you to exercise and work out for me, but it's not going to happen. But you have to put the work in. And
Mhm.
that's something, even going through, I've just went through physical therapy, after shoulder surgery. I had to put the work in to be able to move my shoulder, my arm again. So I
Well,
think,
and it's not even about the putting the work in. It's putting the right work in
mhm,
for your body, right?
yeah,
So when people talk to me about, well, what diet, what this, and I'm like, well, what is your body asking you to eat?
mhm,
What do you mean? Everybody's body has a certain types of food that they like to eat, that the it will go in and fire them up and keep the furnace going. Others will fall asleep and go, that's not energy,
yeah,
right? And so
mhm,
it's like, yeah, I could do your shoulder exercises with you. Is it going to help my shoulder? Maybe, probably not, because I didn't have surgery on my shoulder.
yeah,
So I don't have to do those same stretches. And this
mhm,
this is the same as, working with the home and the body. It's like, what is right for this home and this body?
I love it. You're such an amazing, just customized person because you treat
Yes,
everybody as an individual.
absolutely.
And that is so important because we are all individuals. There's not two of us, nobody
Yeah,
has my fingerprint, just me.
yeah.
So, so Adele, we also talked to a little bit about, how much is forever looking to get aligned with all areas of your life. And some people think, oh, that's too overwhelming. I've got too many things that are, out of sync and out of whatever. How do you know where to start, Adele?
It depends on what they're coming with. Like if someone's coming with um like say weight issues, well of course that's going to be the first thing. But then I also go, okay, so what what emotion, what age, what was happening in the home that you realized you just started eating? You're never hungry. Weight has nothing to do with food,
Mhm.
right? Weight is
Yeah.
about what emotion's been anchored, what trauma have you held on to, what has somebody said that isn't truth for you. And I'm saying this from experience, right?
Mhm.
Because I ate my emotions because people didn't understand me,
Mhm.
right?
I know. I bet it was really challenging with your gift, especially, starting around 3 years old and growing up with this gift and probably not knowing exactly what to do with it sometimes. And
Mm-hmm.
just, it was another part of you that was completely your normal, if normal's any word, but this was your individuality. And, and just because other people didn't have it, I bet it
Mm-hmm.
was something that was a real um, time for you
Well,
to be able to embrace.
like for instance, like this is where my parents were good for the fact like I was a kid that didn't sleep.
Mhm.
And all my mom said was, that's fine. Just don't put your feet on the floor. I could do whatever I wanted to do, listen to music, read, color in my bed. Like feet were not allowed to touch the floor. Okay, well that happened 3, 4 nights. Them staying up till midnight, 1 o'clock in the morning, going to school, and then the third day, I come home from school and I go good night, and I go to bed because my body says we can't keep doing this. Good night,
Yeah.
and I'd sleep till the next day, and I go okay. It like they didn't worry like well she's not having dinner. She's like I figured it out. My body will let me know when it's time to shut down. And I
Mhm.
think that's where like we're busy in the technology, like we're not shutting down.
Mhm.
We're staying on our screens as we're trying to fall asleep. No, we've just jacked our brains up for the next 2 hours. And you wonder why you can't sleep. Well, right?
You had a smart mama.
Yes.
You definitely were. You an only child?
No, youngest of three.
Youngest of three. Wow. Yeah. Yeah. So your mom practiced on two other ones and then
Well,
yeah.
I mean, like I mean, we laughed at, are we sure we all lived in the same house, because we're totally different. And I hear
Mhm,
this from a lot of people that, yeah, I don't know, me and my siblings, we had different parents. And you
mhm,
do. The oldest will have different parents than the youngest.
mhm,
And the middle child kind of has to be the ruckus or whatever, because or else they get forgotten,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And um or the baby becomes the favorite. Well, no, they're not the favorite. They're just the one that the parents are hanging on to because this is their last child,
Yes, or they're so tired from raising the other ones,
right?
they've
Like,
given
yeah, you're
up
going
on
to
trying
get
to
more
correct them.
snuggles because then I get to sit down, right? Like, but it's still, but it's just a different way of being raised.
Yeah.
But then I've also seen the babies, like in my case, like um, I might have been the baby, but I was always the more responsible one.
Mhm,
I was the one handling things
mhm.
because I would see things long before anyone knew it was a problem,
Yeah. Wow.
right? And so this was where the house clearings kind of came in, was because I'd be at friends or whatever, and I'd be like, "Why aren't you getting this?" And I'd just do it for them, and then finally I'd be like, "Why aren't you getting this lesson?" And they're like, "What are you talking about? What lesson?" I'd clear it out before they even knew it was coming. So by the time I say enough, the house is caving in. And they're like, "Why is my life falling apart?" And I'm like, "Because you didn't see the last 5 lessons. I'm deciding
Mhm.
to give this one to you."
Wow. That's some pretty incredible. We're going to talk about that again in just a minute because I've got some really questions that
Mm-hmm.
buzz in my brain too. So, but having that alignment again in all areas of your life, prioritizing, you allow the person to prioritize what's important to them. Am I hearing you correctly?
Well, I start with the emotion that's being triggered.
Okay.
So if that is job, financial, then we go there. If that's retirement, we go there. If that's like, um, I'm getting married, like, oh my gosh, like, can I do this? Like, the emotion will show where you're out of alignment,
Mm-hmm.
right? And even though you might have one area, like, okay, your finances are good, your job's good, your home's okay, but you're lonely,
Mm-hmm.
right? So you poured everything into those outward circumstances. Let's tap into the heart. What do you really want?
Mm-hmm.
Because society says we need all these bells and whistles. And you're saying, I don't care about the bells and whistles if I'm alone.
Yeah.
I'll give up all of that to have someone to love. So
Mm-hmm.
we go with the burning desire, right?
Yeah. So that is fantastic. So when people are talking about, when something's happening to the body, it starts in the spirit. And I've
Mm-hmm.
heard other people say, it starts in the mind and then gets into the heart and then we take action. But you say it starts in the spirit. Can you explain that a little bit more, please?
Well, when one is aligned, you are living in your high heart. That's where God lives.
Mhm,
When we're out of alignment, we're in the chaos of the peripheral noise of the world. We're either in left field, right field. But if you quiet yourself down and come into your heart and breathe in the life force that we are given through God, and I'm saying God, people listening can say source, whatever,
mhm,
right? It's being centered in that breath, in the presence of who you are. You'll always wait that 30 seconds at the light. You'll always take that deep breath to say, am I ready to move forward? Instead of frantically just running.
mhm.
It's taking that extra breath and being present with who you are in that moment at all times that we move forward in alignment. And in alignment, there is no chaos.
It, I have always thought about it as flowing, just
Mm-hmm.
flowing down a river, just flowing. And then, when life happens and there's bumps and rocks and stuff in the streams, whatever, most people will panic and try to turn around, start going whatever, instead of just continually flowing with ease. Yes, we're going to be bumps and we're going to have little different things that happen too, but it's just, again, I think it's really important for especially women to stop, just stop for a moment and just reassess the situation, what you're going through. We talk to ourselves all the time anyways, Adele, so you might as well ask yourself some questions about, is this something I have control over? Is that yes or no? And if it's something we need to have help with, we can't handle it by ourselves, then as women, I think it's smart and wise to ask for guidance and ask for assistance or help. And then areas
Well,
that, go ahead.
and I'll take it one step further. I ask first and foremost, is this mine? If it's
Mm-hmm.
not mine, let it go.
I know it's called bless and release. And so
Yeah, because it's
again,
like yeah,
if we have no control over something and it's none of our business, then we have to be able to find those ways, tangible ways. Years ago, I used to teach women about rocks, and I have to tell you about that another time, about being able to squeeze on that rock and name that rock, and then turning that hand over and releasing it and feeling it just fall
yeah,
out. And just, turn your hand right back over to receive. So anytime we make a clearing, we want to put something back in that's,
yeah.
better. Or even just the old adage of, I've had people talking about, they've had still resentment and unforgiveness against somebody and they're not even here anymore. And I would say just go get a Mylar balloon and just write all over it and just, all those things, those hurts and everything. So take it outside, don't stand under a tree, but take it outside and let go of it and let it just, and watch it go away. And you can't get it back. But sometimes we are always ones that, especially with God, we give it to God, then we pull it back down because we think we're going to handle some things. So, but I think being
But
able to find ways to release is huge.
and like you said about the flow, there's nothing that changes the world on the earth more than water.
Mm-hmm.
Go through Utah. That was all done by water. All those canyons are done by water,
Mm-hmm.
right?
It is.
And so there might be a pebble, there might be a, but don't put a mountain in the stream.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we do as humans. It's
Yeah.
a pebble. I won't trip over it. Step over it. Just keep flowing, right?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. So, what are some things that you really love encouraging people, Adele, in your community? And I love that you are bringing together a community of people that are going through transitions, because in reality, if we're still breathing, we're going to be going through different transitions, all different kinds. And so, can you tell us a little bit more about your community and how that's really benefiting the people that are part of it?
I guess the biggest thing is that we're not alone
Mm-hmm.
and there's no shame in asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
We're here to be a community in unity, in the oneness of all. And we all are unique. We all have our unique gifts to share to the world. And I truly believe I am here to make sure everybody shines their gifts.
Wow, I'm not going to call it a big job, but it's a never-ending job.
Yeah,
Yes. Uh, so,
right? Because people did it for me so I could step into my gifts, even though I fought it for many, many years.
mhm,
And now, how you said, I treat every person individually. There is
mhm.
no cookie cutter program.
No, and people know when they are living and being their very best, because there's joy, there's things that come up, that well up, and that just you have. I love laughing at myself. I'm always going to laugh at myself because I make myself laugh. But but you want to make sure that we are doing things in a way that we are becoming the best versions of ourselves so that we can serve others in the best way that we can. And so I think that's something that some women especially think that it's selfish to be able to invest in themselves and to, find where it is to have that true happiness, or that they've never experienced it too, Adele. And, some things have been passed down from generation to generation that this is just the way it is. Um, but
Well,
there's a
and I
lot of,
also want to add
mhm,
too, it's not about women, it's about the feminine. The feminine is rising
yeah.
in all,
Hmm.
which is not very, very different than women and men.
Yeah.
The feminine in us all are rising to get us through this hardest time that we've been through as a society.
I agree with you.
And it's the feminine that brings the tribe together, that
Mhm.
brings people around the fire to say, let's make solutions,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. It is.
Because the feminine is what keeps life going.
Mhm. Yes, I agree. So switching back a little bit to
Mhm.
the house clearings too, the things that people don't realize, especially if they're moving into areas, and there's been a lot of spiritual warfare, there's been a lot of other different things or environmental issues. Um, how do you sense like that there is a problem or a challenge? Are there certain signs? Are there certain indicators that people?
Um, well, I don't like it's even just going back like in a light hearted way. You had some people over for dinner. You and your partner are cleaning up the dishes and you're nitpicking at each other and you're like, what? And I'm like, well, who left their bad day in the couch? Right? And
Mhm,
so like after a clearing, it's like, well, those people won't even get on your property. They might be invited, but they'll cancel because you won't let them back on your property. If they're bringing their baggage to dump in your sacred space, they just won't be able to be invited,
mhm.
right? You'll have to meet them elsewhere so they can dump it somewhere else. You're not picking it up, right? And
Yeah.
so it doesn't have to be like this horrid thing or these bad things. It's just the little nuances that you're like, I don't get it. Like for
Mhm,
instance, like people using sage.
mhm,
And I'll be like, you had a window open. Well, no. And I go, well, you're lucky your windows didn't break. What do you mean? I go, I've seen walls, like floor to ceiling walls of windows shatter.
mhm,
When you're clearing out something, and especially using sage, right? It
mhm.
will clear it out. And if that takes out your 10-foot wall of window, well, that's an expensive lesson.
You better open the window, right?
Yeah, have a window open.
Yeah. Give it a route, give it a way. I knew our time was going to run by so fast. Adele, I would absolutely love sometime if you would come back for the next exciting episode. But what is the easiest way for people to get in touch with you, Adele?
The easiest way, if you want to book a one-to-one, is use the QR code or follow me on LinkedIn,
Mhm.
um, or go to my website, Transition Clarity. Just know it is in transition right now. So, hey, as I learn, I have to upgrade.
I know. I just went through the same thing with my website. I had some changes done, and I was
Yeah,
sitting there going, nothing stays the same.
yeah.
So,
So
uh,
yeah, and I look forward to anyone who wants to reach out and say hi.
well, I think it would be fun. And I encourage everyone to get in touch with Adele because she is such an amazing, unique individual that is so gifted. And I promise that, either you will be able to use some of her gifts and talents or you will know somebody that needs it. So, again, Adele, thank you so much. And I just want to encourage everyone just to check out some of the other Win-Win Women TV shows. We have about 200 show hosts, and it's a great place to become educated, inspired, and encouraged. And come back and join me next Wednesday at 7. And if you want to get in touch with me, you can go to my website, thehealthysaleschick.com. I would absolutely love to hear what you are doing to take care of your self-care, especially so you don't have to depend on healthcare, but also would love just to have some time to get to know you. Again, Adele, thank you so much for your valuable time today. And I wish you continued great success with flow and ease.
Thank you, Nancy, for having me on the show.